So in AI-driven SOC, first of all, if you talk about the overview of a SOC, right, the Security Operations Center, more commonly called as SOC, the SOC is a centralized unit. It is a physical or virtual location from which an organization monitors and manages its security threats. This occurs through the three pillars of SOC, which are your people, process, and capabilities. Awesome. So when we are talking about SOC, imagine the SOC as your control center of a spaceship or a mission command room, we can say. So basically, it's a place where the crew, you know, in this case, our security experts we are talking about, so they monitor every system's health, making sure the spacecraft or our organization doesn't get hit by any space debris. Space debris would be a cyber attack, actually, right? So we do have when we're talking about in terms of SOC, we have we talk about in terms of physical or virtual locations as well. Let me write it. Physical or virtual location. So SOC can either be a physical room, like the one in the image which we can see over here, a high-tech war room over here, or it can be a virtual, operation using remote tools. So regardless of the setup, it is where all the action happens, be it physical, be it your virtual location. And yes, it's a centralized unit as mentioned over here. So it's the main hub, you can say, where everything related to the cybersecurity is managed. It's not scattered across different departments. So, so think of it as a nerve center for security, where all the threats, alarms, and responses coverage is done, right? And monitoring and managing security threats also happens over here. So the SOC's core job, when we talk about, is to keep an eye on the system for any signs of any intrusion, any suspicious activities, or any potential breaches. So it's like the watchdog, for your entire digital infrastructure. So in that we have three core pillars. We have people, we have process, we have capabilities. When we are talking about people, these are our skilled professionals, who are responsible for analyzing the security threats, to respond to incidents, or making sure everything runs smoothly. So they bring the expertise to make decisions based on what the technology detects, right? The process, when we talk about, these are the standard procedures, the guidelines and protocols, we can say, which are in place that helps the people to know exactly what to do when something goes wrong. So it's like the rule book, or you can say the checklist for the team, making sure no steps are skipped when you are responding to any issue, right? And capabilities means tools. Basically, this is the technology area or technology side, we can say. Um, the powerful software tools and systems are used to detect and respond to the threats. So these could be anything from any intrusion detection system to machine learning algorithm that will be predicting potential security incidents. So in short, think of the SOC as an organization security control center where people, process, and tools work in tandem to protect the business from the this ever growing range of cyber threats. So for that only, we have what is SOC section over here. So it's a physical or virtual location from which an organization monitors managed security threat. SOC staff members have a deep understanding of security technologies and processes, and they use this knowledge to protect their organization's networks, their systems, and data. SOC teams also respond to incidents, investigate potential breaches, and work to prevent future attacks as well. Right. So as we have discussed, it's a centralized missions control center for the organization. So SOC is where all the security events are tracked and managed to keep your organization safe from the cyber threats. Right. So it has incident response and prevention. So when a threat is detected, so it's like someone hearing an alarm, in a bank vault, we can say. So SOC team jumps into action to figure out what happened and how to prevent it from happening again in future. So if someone tries to break into the network, the team will first stop them and then investigate the breach to understand how the intruder got in. After that, they will set up strong, more stronger security measures so that same thing doesn't happen again in the future. This phase basically is known as your lesson learned or post incident activities. So where we have handled everything, now we have taken a lesson from it and we try to make sure that such thing never happen again in the future, right? So in SOC, we have certain roles and responsibilities, right? So think of a SOC as a big sports team, we can say. You have people in leadership, you have in management, you have players on the field who each play a specific role to win the game, right? So in our case, it's like different people will be there in different roles to protect the organization from cyber threats, right? So we have leadership section where we have mentioned the we can say like a team captain, which is CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. Just like the team captain was in charge of the overall strategy and vision. So they make sure that everything related to security aligns with the organization's goal and that the security team is always prepared for any potential threats. So they make the big decisions, setting the direction for how the organization will protect its asset. Then management is there, the SOC manager, we can say. The SOC manager is like the coach, the captain and the coach in a way. So it's like who oversees the game strategy and making sure everyone in the team is doing their part, right? So they're responsible for managing a SOC analyst, assigning the task to them, and making sure the process are in place to handle the incidents, in a more efficient manner. Then we have these players in the field, tier one, tier two, three, and security engineer, and many more. So the SOC operation team is made up of analysts who are actively working to monitor the systems, to detect the incidents, and to respond to security threats in real time. Each analyst or analyst level over here, tier 1 level 1, tier 2 level 2, tier 3 level 3, we can say this way. Each analyst level, it plays a specific role, much like players in different positions on a sport team, right? So when we are talking about the tier 1 analyst which we have, or the L1 analyst is the defender of the team. So they are the first line of defense, we can say. So when an alert comes in, whenever an alert has been generated, so just like we have a smoke detector or a fire alarm, right? So whenever there is a fire, these alarm, are raised and notified, to the team. So similarly, when an attack is happening, an alert has been generated. So that alert goes to these people, right? So that's why they are the first line of defense, we say. So when an alert comes in, the tier one analyst monitor it. They determine whether if it's legitimate or not, and decide if it requires any further escalation or further investigation. So they filter out the noise, right? So you can simply understand they are like a goalkeeper who watches for the first signs of any danger and then block any shot that come their way. Just giving an analogy for the same. Tier 2, when we talk about, see, when the threat is more complex, the tier 2 analysts, they step in to investigate further, right? They analyze and evaluate the situation and dig deeper into the threat. Tier 3, they are your high level strategists, you can say, or more, experienced ones. So they have the most experience and handle the most complex incident. They use advanced tools and techniques to contain the threats, to mitigate the damage, right? They also do in-depth analysis after incidents to understand what happened and how to prevent it in the future, right? Then security engineers are also there. These are, you can say, the equipment specialist, right? Or tool maker for the team. So they set up, maintain, and improve the tools and technologies that will be helping the analyst to detect, to prevent, and respond to the threats. So if the analysts need new equipments, the security engineer is there to make sure the tools are top notch, right? So these are the, in short, the SOC roles over here. These are like a core functions of your SOC, right? And then the tools and processes are used in the detection, response, prevention, of the cyber threats. So basically, you can say, okay, imagine a SOC as a high-tech emergency room for your cyber threats. So when an incident happens, the SOC team is the first responder who monitor, who detect, and take actions to protect the organization, right? So over here, monitoring is there. As you can see, the monitoring says to detect the potential security incidents, right? So it's like having a security guard who is patrolling, your building 24/7, constantly, constantly on the lookout for any suspicious activity. See, the whole point of this is the goal, I would say, is to detect any potential security incident as soon as they arise, basically. So if you imagine a bank with a surveillance system, monitoring, would be the system's constant eye over here on every corner of the bank. So what they're doing, they're tracking who is coming and who is going out of the bank, like that. So that is for monitoring, so that we can detect, any suspicious activity. So we continuously monitor. That's why we say SOC is like 24/7 thing, because we have to constantly monitor over here. Because why we have 24/7 monitoring? See, if you can't see it, you cannot defend it, basically, or you cannot stop it. So if there is any attack and you're not monitoring things 24/7, so let's suppose you say, okay, my job is 9 to 5 only, and like SOC has to work between 9 to 5 only, let's suppose. So what is happening after 5 p.m. till next day is 9 a.m.? It's a huge gap. An attacker can perform the attack in your environment and you will never know about it because you were not monitoring it, right? So monitoring is equally important. Then we have detection. See, detection, when we talk about, or just like as I mentioned before, when we're talking about this fire alarms or smoke detector, so what do they do whenever there's any incident? Or we were talking about like this, whenever there's a fire in the environment, what it will do, the smoke detector or fire alarm will detect it and raise an alarm to notify others. So similarly, when we talk about detection over here, it's all about we are spotting the intruders. So we are identifying the anomalies and signs of malicious activity over here. So it is about identifying the anomalies or any signs of any malicious activity. As I mentioned, very similar to how your fire alarm goes off when smoke is detected, right? So it doesn't mean the fire is fully started, but it signals that something is wrong, right? So it's like when your home security system triggers when your home security systems triggers an alert when someone tries to break in. So the system does not know what they will do, but it knows that something is off, right? Then we have response part. It's like putting out the fire. So response is the immediate action, basically, which is taken to stop the security incident, and it's tracks. So think of it like when a firefighter rushes into a control and put out a fire. The faster the response, the less damage is done, right? So if a cyber attack is detected, the SOC team mitigates the risk, isolate the threat, and make sure that it does not spread further, right? So they're actively taking steps to stop the damage. Then we have analysis, understanding the attack, basically. So it's like a detective investigating the cybercrime scene after the initial threat is stopped. So SOC team now digs into the incident to understand like what caused the breach, like its RCA, root cause analysis, how far the breach spread, and what vulnerabilities were exploited as well. So basically, by understanding the incident in depth, they create strategies to prevent the future attacks. And then we have reporting part. It's like the paper trail, no? Keeping detailed records of security incidents and threats for compliance, auditing, and improving security posture. So reporting is like keeping detailed reports after an incident. These reports are crucial for auditing and compliance purposes. And also, they also help us to improve our security posture, obviously, by tracking the patterns and identifying areas where the system can be improved. So, just like how insurance companies need detailed reports after the accidents, organizations need these records for compliance, for auditing, and refining the security measures. Right? Rest other functions are also there. When you talk about it, we have aggregation and correct correlation. So basically, we collect the logs, correlate them, right? Aggregate them, correlate them. So we are gathering and organizing the data from multiple sources to see the bigger picture, like looking at all the footage from different surveillance cameras in a building. Then we have threat intelligence. So think of it as a spy network that tracks the threats. So if it feeds into the SOC's operation to give them the information they need to stay one step ahead of the attackers, right? Giving the intelligence. Just like every country has their own intelligence team to, you know, spot the attacks or criminals and try to catch them beforehand, right? So it's more of a proactive approach, we can say. So similarly, knowledge bases are there. So this is like the SOC's playbook, which contains the previous incidents, solutions, and the best practices which needs to be followed in order to handle the incidents or handle the threats. Then we have SIEM. When you're talking about SIM solution, security information and event management. This is also like your heart of your SOC. So these are the tools which are like the central command center, for managing and analyze the alerts and data collected. So basically, the monitoring which we do can be very done with the help of SIM solutions. So from different sources, like from a router, firewall, systems, servers, databases, the logs from different sources are sent into one centralized place, that is a SIM solution. So here, through that, you manage and analyze the alerts and data which is collected. Then obviously we have ticketing systems as well. Um, like tools like Jira, or I'm missing another name of ticketing. So this is basically the process of for logging the security incidents. Like tickets are created for the customer support, like that. So these tickets help us to basically track the incidents and make sure the follow up are done. Follow up actions are completed as well. Yasin, thank you so much. ServiceNow, yes, ServiceNow is also there. Then reporting already we have discussed. Research and development is also there. So SOC team, they constantly innovate and improve their tools and strategies, just like any other R&D department in the company. So they also do the same. Right? So in short, monitoring is done, right? Detection is done. Your responses are there. We analyze as well, just like the detective who investigate and understand the attack. And then we have reporting as well, which is done. These are the like functions of your SOC. Now, when we're talking about the uh, alert fatigue and high false positive. It's like the issues in the SOC operation known as these alert fatigue and high false positive. So this is a situation where SOC analysts, they're kind of an overwhelmed by the huge number of alerts, many of which actually turned out to be false positive. False positive means like the tool said, okay, there's a fire. The alarm said there's a fire, but actually in reality there was no fire. So that's like a false positive only. So same solution said that okay, there's an attack going on, but there's no attack. That's false positive. So that is like a frustrating, kind of a thing. So it can lead to burnout, to inefficiency, or to miss the critical incidents, like that. So it's mentioned SOC receive thousands and plus 10,000 plus alerts per day, far beyond human capacity to investigate. So it's like overwhelming numbers of alerts, right? So if let's suppose if you're working at a fire department and every single call, whether it's a real fire or just someone burning the toast, if that every call is being sent directly to you, the sheer volume of calls becomes so overwhelming that you cannot keep track of what's important. So the team ends up spending more time answering non-emergency calls rather than which they should actually focusing on actual emergencies, right? So it's like, for example, you are being flooded with notifications on your phone. So imagine if you're getting 100 plus emails or text messages every minute, most of them being irrelevant, right? So it's impossible to focus on the ones that truly matter to you, right? And 40 to 60% of alerts are false positive, wasting 15 30 minutes of analyst time each for each alert, we can say. So this means nearly half of the alerts are not real threats at all. It's like we are receiving an alarm notification every time someone passes by a house, right? So even though they are not trying to break in, but still you are getting that noise, kind of a thing. So you keep running onto the door to check, wasting precious time that could be spent on the real threats, right? So that's what false positive, which waste your time, and they're kind of a frustrating as well. The repeated noise causes analysts to mentally tune out, leading to miss critical ones. Okay. So over time, if analysts are constantly bombarded with the false alarms, they become desensitized to them. So it's like if you kept hearing the same sound repeatedly every day, eventually you just stop paying attention even when there's a real emergency occur. And then real threats hide inside alert noise, increasing dwell time and overall damage. So here critical threats are overlooked. So because the noise, this false alarms is so constant, actually security breaches are hidden in the plain sight. So for example, if I say, just to make you understand, if you are hunting for a wildlife in a dense jungle and there's so much rustling around that you miss spotting a real predator, the more noise, the harder basically it becomes to spot what truly matters to you. Right. So it's like you're searching for the lost keys in a messy room. If everything is chaotic, just like your alerts, if everything is chaotic, you might miss the important clue that would lead you directly to the keys. So that's the scenario. And constant overload leads to analyst burnout and high team turnover. Absolutely, absolutely. Analysts, those who are facing alert fatigue, they experience burnout, constantly stress, lack of focus, and repeated false alarms result in exhaustion. Much like a first responder working long shifts, in a very chaotic environment. So over time, it becomes harder to maintain the peak performance. So it's like you're working at a restaurant where customers are constantly complaining about, the issues, the trivial issues. So eventually the waiter or chef becomes frustrated, right? And obviously their performance will drop, which can lead to some mistakes as well. Right? So these are things. So lastly, when everything is urgent, nothing is. So this idea is that alert fatigue makes it difficult to prioritize correctly, right? So if all alerts are marked as critical, it's like a crying wolf too many times, right? Eventually nothing gets the attention it deserves over here, right? So it's like when a student has no so many homework assignment that they cannot focus on the most important ones, and they are busy doing everything but not making progress on what truly matters actually. Now, another challenge was this manual investigation and skill gaps. So analysts manually correlate logs, alerts, and threat intel across 10 plus disconnected tools, manually correlating them. Okay. Average investigation, where is it? Yeah. Average investigation takes 30 to 60 minutes per alert, right? Copy paste workflows across SIM, across EDR, firewall logs slow down every response as well. Okay. Global shortage of 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs leaves SOC understaffed. Okay. And junior analysts lack experience to handle complex multi-stage attacks independently. And heavy reliance on senior analysts creates bottlenecks and single point of failure as well. These are the like operational problems which are mentioned over here. Judged in the side, the SOC, right? So analysts they manually correlate logs, alerts, and threat intel. So most SOC analysts today they work across 10 or more disconnected tools they are talking about, like SIM, EDR, firewall logs, threat intelligence platform, email security tools, cloud dashboard, ticketing system. And the problem is these tools often do not naturally talk to each other. So analysts they spend a huge amount of time manually connecting the dots, right? They investigate, which take 30 to 60 minutes per alert. A single alert investigation, they may involve checking logs, validating IP reputation, domain reputation, reviewing endpoint activity, checking user behavior, correlating the timelines, and also documenting the findings. So thing is, even if the alert turns out to be harmless, the analyst still spend time investigating it. And copy and paste workflows across these SIEM EDR via firewall logs slow down every response. So basically, a lot of SOC work today still involves copying IPs between tools, manually searching hashes, exporting the logs, switching tabs repeatedly like that. So imagine if you're working in a customer support where every system requires separate login and you manually copy customer details between screens all day. So not only it's slow, it also increases the chances of having some human errors. So this is exactly why SOC analysts experience some fatigue and burnout over here. And the global shortage, as we discussed. So it's like cybersecurity skill shortage, right? So depending on the report and year, the global shortage is estimated at around 3.4 million unfilled cybersecurity roles globally. So the problem is not just technology; they there simply are not enough experienced analysts available, right? The journalists lack experience at the same kind of point of being continued over here. So heavy dependence due to which was on the senior analyst, which creates the bottlenecks and single point of failure. So senior analysts they become the like go-to people for everything: the escalation, the advanced investigation, um, malware analysis, incident response decisions like that. This create the bottlenecks, the slow response time, and the burnout and the operational risk. So in that, so basically. This slide is setting up like why AI is becoming necessary in SOC operation. Because AI help us to automate our repetitive investigation steps. It helps us to correlate the data instantly, and also to guide junior analysts to reduce the dependency on a few experts and improving actually the operational functionality as well. And then slow incident response. So industry average MTD, which I was talking about, mean time to detect for the detection is 197 days. And attackers stay hidden for months, like it has been. The dwell time is quite increased, 197 days. Um, is not small, I would say, right? And average mean time to respond MTD is 69 days after detection. Damage compounds daily. This is like in traditional way we are talking about, right? Not yet how AI has enhanced it. Every hour of delay costs organization average of 300 plus. Okay, it's like 300K plus in breach impact. Nice. Manual escalation approval, change, slow containment every step. Okay. And lack of automated playbooks means analysts reinvent the response process each time, which is again time consuming and can contain a lot of errors or flaws. And delayed response allows attackers to move laterally, exfiltrate data, and deploy ransomware. So MTD, when we talk about from the starting, mean time to detect. So basically, it is like how long it takes to detect that a breach or attack has occurred, right? So attackers they can remain hidden in a network for months, silently stealing the data or preparing to cause more damage, all while the security team remains unaware. So this stealthy attacker effect is costly to us. MTTR is 69 days mean time to respond. This is a time which is actually taken to respond once a breach is detected. The longer the response, the more damage compounds. So it's like if a house catches fire and the fire department takes over 2 months to get there, the longer the wait, the worse the damage becomes, right? So once the breach is detected, the longer it takes to respond, the more data gets stolen, the systems get compromised, and the more ransomware can get deployed, like attack can be deployed. Then cost of delay can be this 300K plus. So basic per hour actually. So every hour of delay costs organization an average of this 300K plus in breach impact. So the longer the attack persists without action, the more it costs the company, both in terms of financial loss and the brand reputation as well. Then we have manual escalations, which can slow down the containment. So when a breach happens, manual escalation is like a game of telephone. Important information they gets passed along, but it takes time. And delays in decision making can slow down the entire procedure. Right. So in many cases, slow approval process mean the breach spreads even further beyond the or before the containment. And then lack of automated playbooks. Exactly. These are predefined steps we can say. So here the analysts are reinventing the wheel. So when you talk about automatic playbooks, these are the step-by-step guides on how to respond to specific types of threats. Without them, the SOC team has to reinvent the response process each time, right? So without these playbooks, analysts they spend time figuring out how to respond to each attack instead of taking quick or effective actions over there. Then we have delayed response, which allows attackers to move laterally. So delays gives attackers a chance to move inside a network, like a burglar breaking into a house and then quietly moving from room to room, gathering more and more valuables before the homeowner notices. So attackers, once inside, they can exfiltrate or steal the data, deploy ransomware, and spread throughout the network. The longer the response, the more the attacker gets accomplished over here. Right? So delayed response cannot be also done. So these are challenges. So that's why SOC needs AI basically, because the threat landscape is growing faster than any human team can catch. AI fills the gap. Traditional SOC tools generate noise but lack intelligence to prioritize what matters. Right? See, traditional SOC tools they often bombard teams with data noises, right? But lack the intelligence to focus on what matters the most. So it's like we are having a radio that constantly plays static. You hear sounds but cannot distinguish any useful information from it. So AI solutions are there. So AI can filter the noise for you, just like a tuner that helps you to find the signal in a noisy environment. It helps the team to focus on the relevant threats and ignore whichever is irrelevant to us. And AI can process and correlate millions of events in seconds, impossible for human analysts. So absolutely right. We have already seen that. You might have used ChatGPT and Claude and everything. So AI can process multiple millions of events in seconds, which is impossible for human analysts to do. Think of it like we are trying to read every book in a library in a matter of seconds. Something humans cannot physically do. So AI is like a supercomputer, we can say, that can quickly process vast amount of data. It can help us to detect patterns and identify the threats, any potential threat in the real time. Then we have repetitive time consuming tasks like log analysis and triage can be fully automated. So tasks like log analysis and triage, they are time consuming actually and repetitive for humans. So it's like we are performing the same manual labor task over and over again. So it's exhausting and does not allow analysts to focus on more strategic tasks. So AI can automate these tasks just like having a robot to do repetitive work for you, which allows the human or human analyst to focus on more higher level analysis and decision making. And AI learns from the patterns to predict and detect threats before they escalate, like a behavior based learning. So they just not AI does not just react to existing threats. It learns from patterns and they can predict the potential future attacks before they can escalate. So it's like we are having a weather forecast that tells you about the storm before it arrives. So you can prepare ahead of time, right? So AI can spot unusual patterns and predict the attacks, much like a precautionary system we can say to be used. Then organization using AI in SOC report 50% plus reduction in the response time on average on response time. So organizations that use AI in their SOC reports a 50% plus reduction in response time, right? So it's like we are cutting down the time it takes to respond to a crisis by half. It makes a huge difference actually when we are preventing the damages. Then question is no longer if SOC need AI, it's how fast they can adopt it, right? So the critical question now is no longer whether SOCs need AI or not, but how quickly they can adopt to AI to stay ahead of the this constantly evolving threat landscape. So it's like being asked, when will you get on the fast train, right? The sooner, the better it is. The faster SOCs can integrate AI, the quicker, they will be able to respond to threats and protect the organization. So basically, AI fills the gap. It reduces the noises. It filters out the irrelevant data, process the data faster, automate the task for us, predict the threats, and cut our response time. So machine learning is there, which trains on historical data, right? And detect anomalies and unknown threats automatically for us, right? Natural NLP is there, natural language process. Okay, reads and understand threat intel, report logs, reports are there, and tickets like a human analyst. Perfect. So machine learning, when we're talking about, it helps the AI train on the historical data to identify new and any unknown threats. It's like teaching a detective to recognize criminal patterns based on the past cases. So over time, the ML system gets better at spotting what looks suspicious. Right. So ML machine learning analyzes thousands of security events, we can say, learns from them and detects any anomalies automatically for us. So it's like a crime detective that gets sharper with experience and can identify any suspicious behavior more quickly. NLP, when we're talking about natural language processing, reads and understands threat intel reports, logs, and tickets like a human analyst. So it allows AI to read and understand text, whether it's logs, tickets, or threat intelligence reports. Just like a human analyst, it's like having an AI assistant that can skim through, we can say, thousands of pages of data and pick out the critical information out of it. So NLP is used to process the logs and reports automatically, making sense of large volumes of textual data. It helps AI to recognize patterns and to flag important information, just like a human analyst would do, but more faster and more efficient. Then UEBA is also the user entity behavior analytics, builds behavior baseline to flag suspicious user and device activity. So UEBA is AI's ability to build a baseline behavior, we can say, for users and devices in the network to identify what is normal behavior. So that anything which goes beyond that, it will be identified as an unusual activity, right? Based on that baseline, which will be helping us to flag any potential insider threat or any compromised account. Then SOAR is there for the automation and response. Security orchestration automation response. SOAR automates repetitive workflow and execute response playbook at machine speed. The SOAR uses AI to automate basically the repetitive task, such as like you're responding to alerts and executing security playbooks. So this will be doing what? This will be speeding up your response time and make sure that no steps are missed during the incident response. So imagine if every time a security threat was detected, a robot instantly activated a response plan without human intervention. That's AI we are talking about, right? So SOAR automates this process, handling tasks like isolating the affected systems, blocking the malicious IP addresses, and alerting the team over here automatically, alerting them as well. And threat intel integration. So AI continuously ingests global threat feeds to stay ahead of emerging track pattern. So we'll be ingesting those global threat feeds so that we can stay ahead, right? So it's like we are having a real-time intelligence from globally security experts, giving SOC team information on emerging attack patterns, right? So again, think of it like we are receiving the global weather updates. So AI now can predict whether the storm, which is our attack, might hit next and provide us some early warnings to us. So this let the SOC team to act before any breach escalates. Then AI in SOC is not a single tool; it's a layered intelligence framework working across detection, investigation, response. Absolutely. So it's not a single tool; it's a, we can say, comprehensive framework that will work across the detection, the investigation, response. So it's like an integrated security system that will be including your cameras, alarms, and sensors, and all working together to protect the organization. So traditional SOC versus AI powered SOC, when we talk about. So traditional SOC rule based, signature driven, misses unknown threats in 0 days, right? It's like we have a traditional alarm system that only respond to any specific or known threats when we are talking about the known patterns, right? So this method, as we can see, it is more limited, right? Um, to detecting the previously identified threats. So it can easily miss unknown threats or zero, which is new type vulnerability, unrecognized threats. AI powered SOC, when we talk about, there is more like behavior anomaly based detection. So it's more like having a smart system or smart alarm system that learns the usual patterns of activity and then it can help us to detect any unusual behavior, right? So AI can spot anomalies and unknown threats, including zero-day attacks, by analyzing the patterns rather than relying on any specific signatures. And traditional SOC manual triage analysts are overwhelmed, as we discussed before, with these many alerts. And with the help of AI, automated triage and prioritizations are done, and let's focus on real threats only, right? Helping us to reduce on the false positives, false positive rate as well. See, 40 to 60% false positive rate drains and it is time and erodes trust. Whereas AI dramatically reduced and ML continuously learns and refines our accuracy so that we can get more true positive. And days to weeks, manual escalation and approval chains slow everything. Absolutely. Minutes to seconds, automated playbooks execute response. Headcount dependent scale requires hiring more analysts in the traditional one, as elastic and on demand scales with threat volume and not the team size with the help of AI. Correct. So when we talk about traditional SOC, headcount dependent is there. So to handle more threats, you need more analysts. So you need to hire more analysts over here in the traditional one. So this process can be costly and can be time consuming as you need a continuous increase the workforce. Whereas AI powered one, you can say it's more elastic and on demand. AI can scale that with threat volume without requiring additional security team member, right? And then last one, threat intelligence, we can say. So in traditional SOC, it's more of a periodic manual update. So threat intelligence is manually updated at regular intervals, making it slower to adapt to emerging attacking patterns. So when you talk about AI-powered SOC, continuous real-time ingestion, always updated with global threat feeds. So they are more continuous and real-time ingestion is there. So AI, they can automatically ingest the threat data and it can actually keep your systems updated instantly with all the global threat feeds, which is helping the SOC to stay ahead of the attackers, right? So it's more automated, we can say, and we are having the threat intel, which is more related and more latest. Right? So you can say traditional system are just like your old maps that needs to be updated manually. But AI is like a GPS system that gets real-time traffic updates, right? Always knowing the latest threats and everything for us. Hmm. So how AI enhances security operation, automated triage, behavior analytics, and threat relation. So AI scores and prioritizes the alerts by severity, whether it's a high, medium, low, or critical, and eliminating the manual first pass review entirely, right? So AI scores and prioritizes alerts by severity. So this will be eliminating the need for a manual first pass review, right? So AI solution in a SOC, this means AI can automatically categorize the alerts, letting the analyst focus only on the high priority or real threats for now, rather than wasting time, and time sifting through every alert. So prioritization is done, and as per that, whichever is more critical will be handled first. Then UEBA, user entity and behavior analytics, detects the deviation from normal users and device behavior that root-based tools miss. As I told you before, it will be helping us to detect the deviations, right? So UEBA uses machine learning to learn normal behavior patterns, and it will be helping us to identify when there's deviation. So, like a bad actor within the network who behaves abnormally can be part of it. Then threat correlation. So it helps us to connect the signals across logs, endpoints, networks, and cloud in real time, instantly. So threat correlation makes sure that AI links data from multiple sources, right? The logs, the network, the endpoints, everything, so that we can uncover any hidden threats that might otherwise remain undetected because we were not correlating the threats. So it helps us to get the bigger picture. It helps us to connect the dots instantly, that in the real time, and help us to perform the automated response. So confirmed threats trigger predefined playbooks without waiting for human approval, right? So when a threat is confirmed, AI can automatically trigger the predefined response playbooks without needing human approval. So it's AI's automated response, right, which can help us to actually reduce our reaction time, which can contain the damage quickly, and it will help us to stop the attacks before they spread. While our human analysts, they can focus on more complex investigation. And absolutely, the continuous learning is always there. AI retrains on new attack data, getting smarter and more accurate with every incident. Absolutely. So AI continuously retrain itself on the new attack data, getting smarter and more accurate with every incident, right? So with every new attack, AI improve its ability to detect advanced threats by learning from each experience, making sure that the system becomes more accurate and more efficient with the time. And lastly, the future of AI-driven SOC plus scalability, if we talk about. So autonomous SOC, Gen AI for investigation, and what's next, right? So more improvement when we are talking about with the help of it. So here, Here we are talking about, the future of AI-driven SOC and their ability to handle this ever-growing, volume of threats, we can say, and the incidents with minimal human intervention. Right. So autonomous SOC, AI will detect, investigate, and respond to threats end-to-end with minimal human intervention. Right. So this means that AI can handle the entire cycle of cybersecurity from detection to resolution. But again, minimal human intervention, right? Always we need someone to validate it, right? So it's like a self-driving car we are having. So it's an autonomous SOC, and AI can detect a threat, analyze its context, and respond as per that appropriately, all without waiting for human intervention. So this means faster response times and better threat mitigation. And Gen AI for investigator analysts query incidents in plain language, getting instant summaries, timelines, and recommended action. Awesome reports and summarizes are there. So Gen AI, your generative AI, they allow the analyst to query the incidents in plain language instead of searching through data logs or manually analyzing the incident. So AI will summarize the situation and recommend the action based on the natural language queries, right? So it's like you can say, imagine you are ask Siri or Alexa question, and they instantly give you, concise summary and steps to take. So instead of manually going through files, you simply ask the system and it provides an instant solution to you or instant analysis to you. So analysts can simplify or simply ask AI for instant summaries, the timelines, and the next step actions to make the quicker decisions. So this saves the significant time and improves the quality of investigation by giving instant and relevant information. And then we have predictive threat defense. AI shift from reactive to proactive, anticipating attack patterns before they materialize. Right. So from reactive to proactive, we are switching. So meaning it will be anticipating the attack patterns before they materialize. So instead of simply reacting to attacks that have already occurred, AI will help us to predict and block the attacks before they happen. Right. And infinite scalability, AI-powered SOC handle 10x the alert volume with the same team size as threat grow. Absolutely. It can handle the 10 times the alert volume without needing to expand the team size or including more human power. Right. So as your cyber threat increase, AI allows SOC teams to scale their operations without having to hire more staff for it. Right. So it does not get overwhelmed by the volume of threat. It automatically adapts to handle more alerts, allowing the same size team to process larger amounts of data. In self-healing system, future SOCs will automatically patch vulnerabilities and reconfigure defenses post-incidents. So it's like future AI-driven SOC will feature a self-healing system that automatically patch vulnerabilities and reconfigure defenses after an incident, making sure that the system recovers and it improves without human intervention. It's like future AI. Once an attack is detected, AI system will automatically patch the vulnerabilities and enhance security defenses, making sure that the system is more secure post incident, and which reduces the downtime and keeps the organizations protected. Right? So in short, we have autonomous SOC, we have Gen AI for investigation, predictive threat defense, like AI will anticipate threats and stop them before they materialize. Infinite scalability, AI-powered SOC can handle increased alert volumes without expanding team and self-healing system. So AI will automatically patch vulnerabilities and reconfigure the defenses post incident. So the future of AI-driven SOC is about automating the entire process of cybersecurity while providing more of a predictive and more adaptive defenses that can scale as threats evolves. So AI will enhance our analyst efficiency, reduce our response time (MTTR), and automatically heal the systems after an attack, making your cybersecurity operation more faster, more smarter, and more self-sustaining.